Hello everyone. In our previous session, we looked at how to handle basic uh, system calls to print the triangle, hollow triangle. Now we are going to construct now or write a program to print hollow square. Now as again, like we would be using system calls. So nested if and nested for loop with an if would be required here. So we have to manually manage our counters in registers and talk to Linux kernel to put the characters on the screen. Like our boundary characters would be star and there would be space and slash n ultimately. So we'll write the program to print a hollow square. We'll add the characters first, section.data. So let me type in this, then I will discuss appropriately. Star db, star character, fine. Then space db, space, then new line db 10. Right. Then we'll require scanf to read the number of rows there or the depth. So we'll require scanf. So that's why for scanf we'll require format. So I'm adding this percent %d 0. So these all are our values in data section. So let me add the counter correct section dot ss and ready one. So I'm taking this in as a counter section dot text well main extra scanf. Fine. Okay, good. So let us go back. So here, if you see at the top, I have added constants like star, space, and new line. These would be like, for example, one can say like ink for our printer, which would be printing. Now section.bss, I have declared n, which would be reserving 4 bytes to store size of the square that is added by. So let us first write the code to read n, correct? Because we will require that n to read the number of rows rather, or maybe one can say with respect to size of the square. Fine. So push n, push mhg, call scanf, add esp comma 8. This will have the values. Now what we'll do is we'll use esi, okay, and edi. Esi would be used as a row counter and edi would be our column counters. Fine. So let me write move esi comma 1. Okay, then similarly the way that we saw for triangle, I would be having outer and inner loops, outer loop, correct? So we'll require this ESI to be verified with our keyword n. Correct. If it matches, that means you are done with the counter. You go to your exit system call. Correct. Now, if it is not, that means what? Now we have to print the columns. Fine. So move EDI, comma 1. This would be column counter. Correct. Then we'll write inner. And this inner loop will compare with number of columns. So once number of columns are achieved, we have to print the next line. Now it would be a bit different with respect to what we saw earlier in the triangle program, because the top one and bottom one would be having all stars printed, but in between the space character would be there, correct? So CMP EDI comma keyword of n, jump if greater to print line, correct? Now the way that we saw for triangle, there would be border conditions. So either if it is 1, if it is n, okay, we are going to print all characters. So I will write the conditions here. So our conditions are what? So print star. If suppose if I say I, like I would be my row counter. If it is 1 or if it is last row, correct? Then it is n. Either it is 1 or n. It should print stars. Okay. Or if it is first column, or it is J. I'm sorry, I wrote J. It should be EDI. Correct. And then this should be either it is n. Correct. Whatever the way. So let us do this. Let us compare ESI, 1. Correct. Then jump in equal print star. So we have to add these things with respect to every condition. Correct. So what are the conditions that we wrote? So ESI is the second is d word of n. Correct. It should print the star. Then for EDI, if it is first column. Correct. And if it is last column. And because we want to print a square. Now if none of the condition holds, that means what? We have to print space. Else print space. So how do you print it? Let us write push a move ex comma 4, move ebx comma 1, move ecs comma space. Correct. And then move edx length. Correct. 1. And then your interrupt. And then you write pop. Fine. So this we printed what? Character. Now once it is done, like we printed space, so we should jump to next column. So jump next column. Correct. So if it is done, now similarly we should print star. So I will copy this logic of printing this space and I will add it as it is. Just changing the space to star. And loop would be changing with jump perspective. So this would be now star. Here it should go to, like once we are done, okay, it should move to next column. That like you are done with printing the star. Correct. So first star, then second star for if it is first row. Correct. So here we printed star. Now next column. Next column is what? The column counter is used by us as EDI. So one can say I can add here column count. Let me add it here. And this is what our row. Correct. So row counter and column counter. Now let us go back and we printed. Now we have to move to next column. Like once the star is printed. Correct. So what is to be done? We have to increment the internal counter and jump to inner loop. Inner. So where we wrote inner loop would be here. Correct. So it should go on now working with the character internal counter. Correct. Internal loop. So this is done. Now once all columns are printed, what is to be done? We have to print new line. Print new line. Correct. I hope we have called this somewhere. Yeah, print new line here, jumping printer to print new line. So now new line is to be printed. So again, I will write that push a pop a. So let me copy this. Let me paste it here. So instead of this, it will be now. I hope I have taken new line as a variable. Yeah, new line. Correct? Yes. So now when new line is printed, what is to be done? We have to increment the outer counter, correct, which is ESI. Fine. And then jump to outer. Now, once everything is done, what is to be done? Just only we have to exit. I hope I wrote my exit only. Let us see above. Yeah, my exit. Here we wrote my exit. Colon. What is to be done? Move system call, correct? Move ex comma 1, x or ebx comma ebx. This exit 0 kind of function call. So, right, I'm giving it as a system call. 0x setting. Done. Correct. If you see this code, okay, let me explain a bit, then we will execute it. So here we are using C library function scanf, correct? To read, we push the address of our variable, the format onto the stack, and then we call scanf. Now, when the call is done, esp comma it so as to clean the stack. Now your choice n would be stored with memory represented by n. Now logic of the square is starting from here. To print a square, we think in coordinates, rows and columns. Okay, so to make it hollow, we don't print a star every time, correct? We only print a star if we are on the edges. And for an n by n square, like the logic is top edge would be printed if row equal to 1, bottom edge if row equal to n, left edge if column is 1, and right edge if column is n. So if none of this is true, then we are inside the square and we should print a space. That's what the whole logic is. And like the nested loop that we printed here, outer loop, like if we use ESI register as our outer counter, like which we used here, correct? It starts with 1 and repeats until it reaches to n. So we said 1 and then we repeated this whole stuff till we reach to n. Similarly, inner loop, we are using EDI. So as our column counter. So it is starting again from 1 and then as it is a square, that's why n again. Correct. So the border code is written here. Correct. Like the thing like jump if equal, jump if equal, all such cases. So if the code passes for all four checks without jumping to print star, ultimately it reaches that else case. Correct. Print a space. And this is how the hollow part of our logic. Okay, where we are printing that space here. Correct. So every time we want to print, we are using system call that is using 4 ex comma 4 while printing. So notice we have used push a pop a so as to like before these surrounding blocks, print blocks. These are crucial. They push all or pop all the registers. Why? Because int 80 instruction can change registers values. So if we don't want the kernel to mess up with our loop counters, ESI and EDI, then it is to be done. So as we use write protocol, so once the inner loop finishes for a row, we print new line like what we did here below. Correct. Once inner loop is done, we are printing the new line. Correct. On the terminal and increment our row counter with 1 and then continue. So which continue we continue it till it reaches to n. And that is how we build a geometric shape from scratch using nothing but registers and kernel interrupts. Let me save this code. And let us check whether have we exactly achieved the goal. If there are errors, we'll try to resolve it. Column XTCOLUMN. So my spelling is wrong. Column, correct? Yes, so let us check. Yeah, we are done. So GCC-M32, our column. I dot to. So let me give 5. Okay, let me give 10. right? So you can see this, and this is how we printed it. Now you must have observed, so it is not looking like a square. The reason being, like when we printed the stars, so hollow space should be printed double, correct? The space should be printed two times, okay, in between, like after every star also. So this would be a problem for you. Can you make it looking like a square? Though it looks like a square in terms of number of stars, fine. In terms of number of stars, not as a shape perspective. So can you modify this code so as to see exactly it as a square? Fine. So this is your task. Thank you.